welcome back to the Whatnauts Reactor Core number 142. My name is Kyle Springer. I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how are you?
Snowed in. How about yourself?
Kind of, more like iced in.
Nasty.
We really only have like an inch at the most, but it's so cold here. It's like 3 degrees that everything is just ice, solid ice.
We're in the negatives. We're going to be in the negatives all day tomorrow. The snow itself is actually not bad because it hasn't gotten warm enough. It hasn't been above freezing. So it's not really melted and then re-iced. So it arrived as snow and it's still snow, and that we can deal with.
Yeah. Kind of like that giant celestial that's sitting in the middle of the ocean. It was just celestial, and now it's still celestial. It's been sitting there for so long.
It's still there. I guess they're mining adamantium out of it, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Like, when is there? How many centuries is it going to take for there not to be a celestial in the ocean anymore?
Who knows? But yes, we are indeed here to talk about something else besides being snowed in, and it does involve that giant celestial. We're here to talk about Captain America: Brave New World. Melissa, general thoughts. Let's jump right in. What were your like? What was your excitement level going in? Did you have anything that stood out about it that you really enjoyed? How did you feel?
I've always really enjoyed Sam Wilson since moment one. That might be the most effective character introduction in the entire MCU. I was happy to see him leading a film. The trailers were promising. The film itself ultimately, I think, was trying to do too much in too little time.
Okay.
It's the trade-off of, I'm happy this is being elevated to a film instead of a Disney Plus show, but you're trying to cram a Disney Plus show's amount of content into 106 minutes.
A film. Yeah. I think I kind of agree. I had a good time. I enjoyed it, certainly. Didn't dislike it at all. I'm just kind of right there in the middle. The box was checked. Yes, this is a Captain America movie.
Meets needs. Sufficient.
Yeah, I was whelmed, right? I was not overwhelmed. I was not underwhelmed. I was just whelmed. I liked it. I thought a lot of the on-screen action was really good.
Yes.
I like some of the step forwards in a sense of where the MCU is kind of going, and the those next little drip feeds that we're starting to get, like we mentioned, the Adamantium. I love all of that stuff. But it did also just feel like Hulk 2. And I think I was kind of also expecting maybe a little more bite to the movie. Maybe having something a little stronger to say about Sam Wilson being Captain America. And I know some of that was already covered in the show, in that stuff. But yeah, I feel like they had more to say in that show than they really did here in like the main big blockbuster movie. So that I felt left a little bit to be desired, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. So kind of right there in the middle. But yeah, I was so excited. I was debating on how full our theater was gonna be because I went to go see it on Valentine's Day, and I was like, well, it's like Valentine's night.
You did take Rachel, right? You didn't go by yourself. Just double checking.
All right, babe, I'm off. Here I go. No, we went together, and we were equally excited about seeing that on Friday night, and then Paddington in Peru Saturday morning. And had a great time with both of them. But our theater was pretty full.
That's good.
Apparently our theater also had a power outage during the day, and so everything was like 15 minutes behind.
Okay.
We walked in the movie theater, and I was thinking like, okay, it's a Marvel movie. I love these. I'm getting a soda and some candy, and then we see the line. Melissa, I have never seen the line at our theater this long,
Ugh.
and I like
Everybody
I
wants candy for Valentine's Day.
yeah immediately saw it, was just like, no. Not standing there in that. But when we got to our theater, there was a guy standing there, and we were about to go in. He was like, "Hey, just a heads up, we're running about 15 minutes behind, so the credits are still happening, or like the last
Oh,
kind of couple scenes are still happening with this." So I did have to wait a little bit, but I didn't think my 10-minute wait was going to be long enough to get through the snack line and then over to the theater in time. So it was an interesting experience for
mhm.
sure. But it was more packed than I was kind of expecting. Um,
That's good. I
but
saw it
yeah,
on Sunday night, and I know some people have President's Day off, some people don't. It might have been too late in the evening for folks who did have to work the next day. And I saw it at the Alamo Drafthouse's Big Show Theater,
nice.
which
Yeah,
is one so massive that it's difficult to get a gauge on if you're in a normal crowd or not. It's
right.
hard to
Yeah.
fill that space.
That's fun though. You got to eat and hang out, stuff like that. That's always a good fun time. Cool. Well, yeah. Let's see. Captain America: Brave New World. Let me at least mention this was directed by Julius Ona.
Mhm.
And a whole bunch of names on the screenplay: Robert Edwards,
Yep.
Malcolm Spellman, Delon Musan, Julius Ona, and Peter Galland's. Yeah, I was excited to see Cap. I was excited to see Sam Wilson. I was interested to see how Harrison Ford would do. I I mentioned this to my parents that yeah, we had went to go see it, and they were like, yeah, I don't know about that one. Harrison Ford seems like he's in a weird role, and I was like, huh? What do you mean by weird role? And they're like, I don't know. He's like some weird guy, right? I'm like, no, he's
That's
playing
Tim Blake Nelson.
Thunderbolt. Right,
You're
right.
confused.
But then she was like, but then he turns into like a Hulk guy. I was like, yeah, but that's also in the comics. So here's something else that I will say, like general thoughts. In the same way that God, my mind just went blank. I had a brain fart. Captain America 2. What was that one called?
Oh, Winter Soldier.
Thank you. Uh, in the same way that that one is kind of like that, 70s spy
Yeah.
thriller that has that real paranoia stuff going on. This one felt kind of like a 90s era, like Tom Clancy kind of film.
An era in which Harrison Ford reigned supreme
Exactly.
when he was the president multiple times. Did you remind your mom about that?
That is exactly what I said. I was like, no, it's like a Tom Clancy film from that era, which he was
But
in a
just
few
with
of them.
Hulk.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were like, "Oh, okay, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, that makes sense." I was like, he was fine. He was fantastic. It was good to see him in the role. I thought he did really well. With that
It
for
that's
sure.
the thing it delivers the hardest on. Do you wanna see Harrison Ford be a red Hulk? And who among us doesn't?
My mom,
It is worth
apparently.
dang it. It is worth the price of admission for that alone.
Yeah, indeed. Cool. Let's do some quick kind of broad strokes of what the plot of this is. I started to write a few things down because, like you said, I think it's trying to do quite a bit uh, once you actually get into the meat of it here. But I think broad strokes, we get to see Sam Wilson in one of his early outings as Captain America. And as a result of his success saving some hostages and stopping an illegal sale of adamantium. More on that in a sec. He gets honored at the White House by President Ross, who was also there giving a speech to world leaders, basically saying, hey, you know how we've been mining out the giant celestial that's out there and been sitting there? Well, we found adamantium, and it's a new strong metal that is stronger than vibranium, and the nation that can control this will be, you know, in extra world power, a super world power, more than they already might be. And as he's giving that speech, the original Captain America, Isaiah Bradley, all of a sudden stands up and attacks the president and runs off. Who knows why that happened? But Cap quickly realizes it's some kind of mind control thing, which sets them down a path to which they discover an off-the-books military site, which also happens to be the prison/laboratory for the leader, who we last saw in The Incredible Hulk. And Tim Blake Nelson, that's his name, right? The guy who does the role. All right, good. I thought he did a great job in that role. We got to see it. It's a weird role for sure, but I thought he did good with it.
I love the glowing eyes. They feel very early 2000s superhero movie. The eyes glow, so you know that's really Mystique.
Sure, yeah.
It's a thing I haven't seen in a while, and it charmed me.
It's the
it reminded
evil
me of old movies.
anime guy where their eyes are shining, or the reflection of their glasses, right? And so they stumble upon the leader who is making this mind control tech, as well as a drug for the president, who seemingly has heart problems because of his anger issues and stuff like that. The drug, of course, is just a low-grade gamma radiation that is slowly but surely turning the president into a Hulk. So at some point when he gets mad, he'll Hulk out. And all of this kind of culminates in the airspace, in these skies around this giant celestial, as a couple nations are there trying to get this adamantium first. And the later has kind of manipulated things to put these nations at odds with one another. And Captain America has to save the day and fight the Hulk and defeat the later. And yeah, that's it. That's Captain America Brave New World. There you go.
A busy time.
And I didn't even mention the Serpent Society.
Right, there's serpents. Right? He's got to save Isaiah Bradley. He keeps complaining about Joaquin Torres being annoying, but the complaining is more annoying than anything Joaquin actually does.
Yeah, kind of.
Like, he seems like a normal guy. He's like a little chattier than you, Sam, but he's fine. He seems like fine company.
Yeah. Where Anthony Mackie is charming but quiet, he is like he now has the like charming but talkative, like sociable guy there right next to him. And of course Isaiah Bradley is the like jaded is not the right word, but the like personally harmed, like quiet, stoic, like brooding, and so like the whole spectrum is right there, right?
The best parts of this movie, the places where I think it absolutely succeeds, is when Sam gets to lighten up a little bit and he's hanging out with his friends, when he's joking around with Joaquin or with Isaiah Bradley or with cameo by Golden Globe winner Sebastian Stan as Congressman Bucky Barnes.
Which
when he gets
does
to play
not bode well, depending on when in the timeline Thunderbolts takes place, because it is he about to have to abandon that because of Thunderbolts? Or is it
I don't
because
know.
of Thunderbolts he's running for Congress now, or who knows
We'll
what?
see.
Anyways.
When Sam gets to be a friend, that is when he shines the most. And I wish the movie had a lot more scenes like that.
Yeah, I think I would even take that one step further and say the best parts of Captain America, of Sam Wilson as Captain America, is when he is doing the thing he did before all the superheroing, and he
Yeah,
is like the I guess he's not really a therapist, but like that counseling.
counselor.
You're
Yeah,
right, yeah.
and like that's been part of his story since the very beginning and it hasn't been touched on in a while. I was very happy that the film highlighted that part of his story. I think a
Yeah.
lot of things in the MCU would have gone down differently if Sam would have put those skills to good use. We wouldn't have had a WandaVision if Sam just went to check on Wanda and used those counseling skills. I don't know where he was. He could have saved the entire town of Westview.
Who knows, but yeah, I like seeing him in that role, and I think that's a
Mhm.
very strong juxtaposition to Chris Evans as Captain America,
Mm.
right? Who is the like, I just don't like bullies, and I'm gonna like stand up and fight you if you're mean, if you're a bully.
Mm.
Whereas uh this new version of Captain America is like, all right, I'm here, but hey, man, let's talk. Like,
Yes.
what's happening here? Like, let's
Mhm.
work. Maybe we don't have to fight. And then
Mhm.
he usually ends up having to fight anyways. But I like that that's his first
Yes.
approach, where he's just like, hey, maybe I don't need to fight you, right? Um, so yeah, that was good stuff there. Let's dive full force into spoilers here.
Mhm.
I know we've kind of mentioned a few of them, but let's go full on into spoilers. That's our little spoiler alert thing. Yeah. Well, let me ask. Let's do this. Let's get Serpent Society stuff out of the way, because ultimately, I I felt it was just kind of one extra thing that really did not need
Yes.
to be there at all.
Not enough serpent, not enough society.
Not at all, and not enough Giancarlo Esposito. He's a great actor. Uh, I think he's kind of underused in this role, but
Yes.
man, he nailed it. Right? Like,
Yeah. Always does.
I loved when he was on screen here. I cannot wait to see more of him. It sounds like there's probably going to be more of him down the road. They kind of left that thread
Hmm.
dangling, um, but we shall see. Any other kind of thoughts on that?
I we have that opening fight scene in Mexico, which is decent action,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it needed to be in a church in Mexico. What did we really get out of that setting that we couldn't have gotten out of anywhere else?
Yeah, I don't know. And if this is the well, where is Celestial Island again?
It's in the Indian Ocean, and the four
Okay.
nations arguing over it are the US, India, Japan, and France. France back stirring the pot again after
Yeah.
antagonizing Wakanda.
Yeah. It seems weird to then bring like how did that then get to Mexico? Is
Yes.
kind of strange. Why is that happening? I don't know. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed by the
Mhm.
inclusion of the Serpent Society, considering the original title for Captain America
Yeah.
3 was supposed to be all about the Serpent Society. It was supposed to
Captain
be,
America 3, all about the Serpent Society.
yeah, indeed. And of course, that was the bait and switch for no, this is Civil War. Um, but then this is what they do with it. It's just kind of a wet fart of like, oh, all right, moving on. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was a little disappointed with that. But what can you do? Oh well.
Mhm.
Next up, do,
Next.
do you want to
I
talk about Isaiah Bradley, his inclusion? Do you want to jump straight to the later?
No, I liked to seeing Isaiah again. Felt like we didn't see his grandson Elijah Bradley again, but okay.
Right.
There's a lot of things in this movie that it feels weird that we don't see.
Yeah.
I love his
Didn't
suit.
even think
I
of
love his
that. Yeah.
plaid suit. He still has and fits into the suit he got married in. That's really sweet. I like that he's still around.
Yeah.
Good friend.
I loved that scene in the limo as they're sitting there like, we're partying. Here we go. And he's like they're all just happy, right? Like there's something about that was just like, this is good. This is fun. I like that he gets to be happy, right?
Yes. I love a moment of camaraderie.
Exactly.
As we move through the plot, I don't want to disparage either of these performances or either of these screen presences, but you've got Ruth Bat-Saraff, and you also have President Ross's female security guard.
I don't remember her name.
And both of those characters feel a little underbaked. And there were times when I thought, could you have combined them into one character?
Honestly, you probably could have. But I think they needed someone who, like, when they're out doing Black Widow field stuff, he needs someone who ends up, unfortunately, kind of being a secretary. But not a secretary, right? Like,
just a minder.
Yeah, just a right-hand man to like, hey, can you go tell this person to go do X, Y, and Z here? Yeah, it felt like a few of those characters were a little underbaked. Again, no disrespect to the actors portraying them. I thought they were fine, but I do think the performances in this are one of the strengths of this movie here. Carl Lumbly, is that his last name? Just absolutely phenomenal as that character
every time.
Just great screen presence. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of Joaquin, he's good on screen. I mentioned Tim Blake Nelson as the leader. He was the one that I feel like maybe had the least to work with and the weirdest character to try and portray.
Yeah, and he's just saying a lot of statistics, and he's like, yes, I am the smartest. I have seen it all. You've come right into my hands.
Yeah.
He's an actor I like quite a bit, but I don't know if this is the strongest avenue for him.
Sure, right. Or at least with this plot and with this script, like I think his ingenious plot is really not that ingenious. Almost anyone could have done that. Like I feel like the Serpent Society could have done the same thing. So what makes the leader super genius? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's a thing we have seen frequently already in like 17 years of the MCU. In Captain America, the Winter Soldier, where they're like, we have tabs on everybody. We know that there's a kid in Iowa who's really smart. Like we've seen the the God's eye view, the all-knowing, all-seeing, all-controlling. This wasn't super unique from any previous time except his head bumpy.
Right.
I kind of appreciated that following the footsteps of previous Captain America movies, we had a scene that was an echo of the Armin Zola scene from Winter Soldier. But nothing is as good as the Armin Zola scene from Winter Soldier. Nothing is as creepy as this little guy who's like, I'm going to turn myself into a computer and live forever.
Yeah. But I liked Tim Blake Nelson in that role. I think they can do some really interesting stuff with that.
He's still out there.
Yeah, and I hope we get to see more of him down the road, but I really hope they do something what makes him super genius that no one else can do. That's what I want to see. Unless, like, I built technology to do mind control. More like I'm actually manipulating you somehow to
Yes,
make you
I'm
think like
doing it.
you're, yeah, like making you think this is your own idea, even though I'm being so calculating and like that's what I want from that kind
Mm.
of character. So yeah, that was a little bit disappointing, I guess, but he still has a presence about him. Like there's something interesting
Mm.
about
Yeah.
him that I
You
liked.
want to know more?
Sure. Yeah. Indeed. Uh Adamantium. Let's jump over
It
here.
was great to hear the word. That was a real high for me, just hearing somebody say adamantium at last.
Right. Yeah, that was did not I mean, I guess I expected them to use Celestial Island somehow, some way. They probably were going to have to mine it eventually, but I guess I'm used to the comics where the Avengers then eventually turn it into a headquarters,
Mm.
which is neat. Um, but yeah, I guess was not really thinking about mining it. Um, so yeah,
What did they try to do first? I really wish we saw the process of events. Big stone guy in ocean. What do you do before you reach mining? Do-
right?
Can we climb him? Can we lick him?
Can we build
Is he
around it?
hollow
Can
inside?
we like
Yeah.
is this some like neutral airspace memorial, some
Did
kind of thing,
was
right?
did some street artist try and tag him?
There's absolutely a Banksy somewhere on the side of,
Right. Yes.
Tiamat. Yeah.
I must know these. Did some product launch try to tie a big banner onto his head?
Yeah, is this the latest like hot TikTok Instagram influencer spot that everyone is going to, right? Um
I wish we knew. There's a lot of space missing here. I wish we had.
Yeah, I'm glad we finally started to talk about this
Mm,
giant celestial,
mm.
but it does kind of feel like a little too long in the two. That's not the right thing, but like it's just kind of been forgotten. I feel like for
Yes.
so long that we're just like, oh, finally, really? Like
Yeah.
now?
Yeah. Right. It's been I don't know how many years in canon, but uh 3 no, almost 3.5 years our time. It's a
Without
pretty
even a
long.
mention.
Yes. One small sidebar in joke in She-Hulk, and that's it.
Yeah.
I've realized how much of my time with the MCU has been spent waiting for people to just say keywords. Like, just say adamantium, just say mutant, just say Latveria, just say
Mhm.
Tiamat, just say the word. That's all I want.
It's your own Winter Soldier programming stuff. Oh man. Yeah, so with Japan being one of the nations interested in getting this adamantium, that certainly made me perk up, not just at the mention of adamantium, but Wolverine himself, whose skeleton is covered in adamantium, has a portion of his history in Japan. Um,
Yeah. Well, again, when we went to Japan in this movie, I wished we got more of it. We do a lot of globe trotting that doesn't really amount to having a strong sense of place.
mhm.
And I did think back to the Wolverine. I'm like, yeah, that's you're really in Japan. You go to a lot of different sites there. I don't know how authentic it is. It's still sort of big and silly and comic booky, but it was nice to have been there, to be thoroughly
Yeah,
in a place for that movie. And this is a lot more shallow.
for sure. And I don't know when and if we will get another Wolverine or what the Wolverine of this MCU is gonna be. But it was just interesting to have that inclusion of like Japan is interested in adamantium. I wonder why, right?
Ooh.
Um, what's happening here? Though I guess we have did Wolverine end up staying in this universe as a result from
Yes.
Deadpool. So we have
Yeah.
Wolverine already. Technically, he's like, adamantium. You mean the stuff I have inside me?
Yes. Although he's in the same universe as Deadpool, but I don't recall if Deadpool's in the same universe as everybody else. If he's
Right.
616 quite yet or not.
Yeah, you might be right. I think that's what my partner and I were trying to figure out, because we were like, I think Wolverine stayed, but is that this
Yes.
universe? It's been some time, so we shall see what they do with mutants down the road. Who knows? Maybe we'll get some other kind of mention of mutants or something in Fantastic Four. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like the big Easter egg in my mind, adamantium. But let's talk.
And an Easter egg.
I mean, yeah, it's not the like hidden away side thing, but you know,
the keyword, your most anticipated keyword.
Red Hulk. I know we already mentioned we liked the performance. Yeah, what did you think of big giant Red Hulk guy here? How were the action scenes? What did you think?
I enjoyed them. Have you been to Washington, D.C.? Surely you must have.
Plenty of times, because that's where I grew up.
Did that feel like a real place to you?
I mean, to me, yes, because I've gone to see the cherry blossoms. I've been right there at the Washington Monument, you know, all of that stuff. Even the scenes you can see that are like outside the White House, like they're looking at the fences there. Like I've been right there. So yeah, that stuff is always neat, where it's like, I do recognize that, but I feel like Washington DC also has a much more iconic space to it than a lot of other places, where it's like we're in Broxton, Oklahoma, right? And it's just like, oh,
you're right. Like,
you mean any town, Oklahoma?
I know the standard things that you put in a movie to tell me you're in Washington, D.C. I couldn't say the same for like Baltimore.
Yeah. So like even like think of like the first Thor movie, right? They're in New Mexico, right?
Yes.
If you like that town that they're in, you could be like, that's also small town Kentucky, and I'd be like, all right, sure. Or like, you know, some small town in Idaho.
It's very sand. It's like the southwestern landscape is there in full force.
I mean, yeah, but like
there's only so many
like
states that look like that.
Outside the town itself, that would like that one street that they're on.
Okay, town minus landscape, sure.
Yeah. Anyways, I think with Red Hulk kind of being one of the villains in here, especially the one that's on the posters, I was also expecting a little bit more of him, more of a rampage, or at least some kind of like I was okay with what we got. Was maybe wanting or hoping for a more emotional story with him and his daughter.
So when he talks to Betty on the phone, she just says these it's just like, yes, father. Everything she says is like so brief.
Right.
It's not a full emotional sentence. And I was so convinced this must be for a reason. Maybe she's being held at gunpoint. Maybe this is repurposed recordings and they are just taking words out of context. I was very surprised that that sincerely was Betty Ross.
Yeah.
It's a weird call.
She also, like, I like her inclusion, because I think she is super important to Ross's character. But yeah, it just kind of also fell flat to me. Like, I wanted a more emotional story, something where, yeah, if she is being held at gunpoint, now it's a race between Captain America and the Hulk to get there and save her while like diffusing the situation.
Mm,
Like that maybe makes for a more interesting uh battle sequence or something instead of
mm.
like, look where you are. You destroyed the cherry blossoms, which you said you would take her to next week. Uh-oh. What are you
I
gonna do now?
I think part of it is that the appearance of Liv Tyler was one of the first things we knew about this movie, like 2 years ago. So, it seemed like it would have been a bigger deal, and instead, she's just in it very briefly and says less than 20 words.
Right, yeah. Um, but we got what we got, and I think it's okay. Like it helped
Yeah.
to calm him down. I get it. I like this kind of mirrors my overall thoughts. It's fine. Like they had the emotional beat in there. It just was not as
Yes.
strong as I would have liked.
Yeah.
Right?
There aspects of the film did feel kind of perfunctory, like, "Well, I suppose it's time that we do this now. Time for
Mm-hmm.
this thing. Now we
Yeah.
do this."
Yeah.
But
Um,
again, I do I'll take any Marvel movie, just hook the feed bag up to my face. I'll stick my face in it. I'll eat the Marvel movie every time. Uh, and I am happy that this got to be a film story, that Captain America, Sam Wilson, was not relegated exclusively to Disney Plus. I think it is
yes.
good he is on
Yeah.
the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
And
Indeed.
I think this is a movie that a lot of families, multi-generational families went to, and grandpa had a good time and the 6-year-old had a good time. You got
Yes.
to appreciate those.
Absolutely. Um, yeah, I think maybe the kind of the last thing I can think of to touch on is Joaquin in that like scene at the end mirroring Cap and Sam in the hospital,
Mm,
and like he's giving them the stuff to catch up on all of it, right? Um, I liked that moment. I think that was maybe the most poignant moment
yes.
that
I
Sam had as Captain America to really talk about what it feels like to be a black Captain America in a
mm,
world where in a country specifically where the system is used against him. It is still very much racist, right? Like what does that feel like? And I think it was a great moment. I just wish there was a little bit more to it because it felt
yes.
like it was just
Yes.
kind of relegated to that one scene.
That i- there's something like it when he talks with Bucky. There's just moments where Sam will monologue now about the pressures of being Captain America, and it's very deliberate, and it's better it being that way than not in there at all, but I wished it
Yes.
was more woven thematically throughout the film, was shown to us and not only told to us.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think that would have been much nicer to see, but I do really enjoy that moment of those two there
Mm,
because you can tell that they are starting to have that kind of same relationship that after uh that after Cap left and got old and is now who knows maybe on the moon or something,
I
who
I
knows,
want
right?
an answer. When will they
Right.
tell
And
us?
I think that's also something we oddly did not see in this, right? Like
Yeah.
in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, Joaquin is asking. He's like, "Hey, where is he? Can I meet him? Is he on the like?" He has this
Mhm.
like obsession of like, "Where is he? What happened after like these events here?" And then it's just gone. There's not a mention of him, which I, to a certain extent, I like, right? I don't want them to
Mhm.
bring that other cat back in here and have it, right? But to not even have a line about it still, like, You still
Yeah,
haven't told me where
yeah.
he is, right? Like,
Yes, I would have taken a line, even a jokey throwaway line.
yes, yeah,
Uh, I did appreciate that Joaquin keeps asking about Ant-Man, which is not just a callback to when Ant-Man fights Falcon in the first movie, but after releasing his book, Ant-Man would be maybe the top superhero on a lot of people's minds. Can I
sure,
meet
yeah.
famous memoirist Scott Lang?
Oh Lord. Anyways, I think that's most of what I have to say on the movie here. Do you have any other kind of thoughts?
To go to the post-credits sequence, I went to go see this movie with my old roommate, who does really love these Marvel movies. She watches
Mhm.
them a lot, but she doesn't keep up with news the way I do. She'll just watch something when it lands on Disney Plus.
Mm.
And she reacted to every trailer like she'd never heard of that movie before, which was weird
Great.
seeing everything through these fresh baby eyes that haven't
Unlike
known for
us,
a
who we've
year that there's gonna.
seen the trailers 30 times because we're at the
Right.
movies so often.
Yes. She when Samuel Stearns talks about the other worlds, she turns to me and she's like, "Whoa, is that like the stuff with Kang?" And I'm like, "Oh, honey, Kang's not in the picture anymore. We
We've
have a
moved
lot to
on
catch
from
you up on."
Kang, yeah.
Like she doesn't, and she has no idea what's coming next. Again, it's just
Like,
like it has to be immediately in front of her face for her to know about it. So I got to tell her like, no, dude, she didn't even know like Robert Downey Jr. is coming back as Doctor Doom.
oh
The
wow.
next movie is Doomsday. Then there's Secret Wars. This is what a Secret Wars means.
Right, yeah. That's awesome though.
It's it's fun and it's
Good for
refreshing, and I
them.
think it's
Good
important
for
that I
them.
get
Yeah.
reminded how normal people live sometimes.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I thought for an end credit scene also, this is one that felt very hollow to me too.
It felt old-fashioned. And I'm kinda with you with the hollowness, but also like how the leader's glowing eyes just took me back to it's 2001 and they make somebody's eyes glow in an X-Men movie to tell you that's not really the senator, that's Mystique.
Right, yeah.
There's something quaint about it, something nostalgic that the post-credit scene is just like, "Ah, threat.
Yeah,
See
and
you next time. Captain America will return."
that's kind of how it felt. Just threat. Uh,
Ah!
right? And it was just like, huh? What is the threat? Like I feel like even in ones where they haven't told us what the threat is, like the end of Shang-Chi, right? And this like
Mm,
signal from outer space, like what is that? Like that felt more specific to
yes.
whatever it was than the others are coming. The the others?
I
Is that someone's name? Is that
I I do appreciate that the language used is ambiguous as to other people or other worlds. The idea that this world is gonna have to fight off a whole other world is a massive concept. And again, try and take myself back a few levels. We all know multiverses, the multiverse war is coming. But then you stop and think, okay, but does Sam know that? Is this new information for Sam? And then it does have a different weight to it.
sure. I'm sure he's probably in the know that multiple worlds exist.
Uh,
Considering he's been in the same realm as Doctor Strange. Um,
I yes, I think
but
there's been a
you're
lot of
right. You do have a
time
point.
travel. There's been a lot more time travel than there has been uh multiple concurrent alternate universes, which is different than like Doctor Strange twitching his head around and he's like, I saw 12 million possibilities. This is
Yeah,
like, no, this isn't a possibility. That's real. That's happening next door. They're going to open the door and they're going to try and get you.
yeah. But I think it was vague enough that I don't even know if he's necessarily talking about other realities. Like, who are the
Yes,
others? Did he experiment on other people? Was there a different drug out there? Does he know about it? Like, is this a reference to the X-Men and it's going to be an Avengers versus X-Men film? Like, what? It was just, it's so vague that it was just nothing.
It is funny that we've had a recent run of post-credit scenes featuring deliberate new characters, very specific. Here's a person from the comic books. We've cast a face you know. Look out for them. And as of yet, none of them have amounted to anything. And it's like they swung too far back in the other direction. Like, what's so vague? It can never be proven incorrect.
This is like the visual representation of their text at the end that says Captain America will return. Yes! It just says a threat is coming. What? What are you talking about?
I would love for us to rank Marvel post-credit scenes on a spectrum of usefulness, not entertainment.
Usefulness.
Like the shawarma one that's going way down there on the spectrum. It's not important. Like how momentum is maybe a better way to put it. What is this actually
arguments made for the team
forward?
Bonding that's happening in the shawarma moment, right?
Plot relevance, follow through, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I have to say on Captain America. It checked the box. I liked it. I enjoyed it, but it had some disappointing parts to it as well. Had a little bit too much stuff in there, but it was fine.
Yeah,
I'm excited for Fantastic Four next. You know,
and Thunderbolts in between. I think this could be a year where the films get better and better. I imagine we're on an upward trajectory. I hope we are.
I hope so. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Do you have any other kind of final thoughts you want to add? Share last little bits.
Just to check in, post Super Bowl trailer drop and post preceding Marvel movies. Still no clue on that asterisk. Don't know when we'll know.
I'm wondering if it's more of a legal thing, because I think the newest trailer has them being like, no, we can't call ourselves that, when they mention like, we are the Thunderbolts. And he's like, no, we can't call ourselves like, so I think it is some kind of legal thing within the movie. It's like within continuity itself. I don't know.
Like, I'm a congressman and I know these things about copyright law, and we got to put an asterisk after our name.
Look, some guy named Murdoch said we can't use that name. Matt Murdoch said we can't use this name. Like, this is not.
When's he?
March 4th, I believe. In the next couple weeks is when it starts up here. So exciting Marvel stuff still coming down the road.
Born again. March 4th. Wow.
Yeah, March 4th. And they're doing weekly with that, right? Or are they just dropping it all?
Hold on. 13 hours ago, comicbookmovie.com says Daredevil Born Again's unique release schedule for the first 6 episodes has been revealed. 2-episode premiere on March 4th, episode 3 the next week, episode 4 the next week. The week after that, episodes 5 and 6.
Okay, so there might be doing some kind of like 2-parter then.
That is unique.
Interesting. Okay. Well, there you go. That's all the recent Marvel news you need to know about. But let's wrap things up right here. So, Melissa, where can the people get in contact with you if they would like to?
You can email me. Old-fashioned, quaint, the way people communicated to each other when the first X-Men was in theaters and somebody's eyes were glowing. Email me at yourhostmelissa@gmail.com.
There you go. If you guys would like to stay up to date with me, I'm at Yo Kyle Springer. If you'd like to follow all the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts official on Threads and at thewhatnauts.com on Blue Sky. So please go like, share, and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, go check out more of our videos over there on that side of the screen. That would help us out a ton as well. And yeah, this has been number 142 of the Whatnauts Reactor Core. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.